So I'm sharing my screen with you guys now. If you check there, you will see my personal development plan for 2023. So if you want to see my screen clearly, you should put your phone on landscape. I believe you must have followed the YouTube video on how to download free conference call app and use it. This morning, I'm actually Andropo Fajuata Ajebua. I'm a mentor at the St. Andrew Mentorship Forum, and I'm a mentor at the St. Andrew Mentorship Forum, and actually a software developer. So I'm going to be holding one session. In the evening, we're going to be having other people. So other people are going to be coming along the line and actually giving you different teachings and training on how to come out with a personal development plan. This is a problem we are solving. We have identified that a lot of people just enter into a new year. Some don't even plan. That's why New Year Day, there is a lot of shouting along the place. New Year has met me. Or some plan, but they discovered that they said something, they said your goals or their desire. And they realized that they sent some things like guidelines, but before that they're going to achieve something like habit, they want to cut off some other things and all the rest. But if you, my interaction with these people for the past 3 to 4 years has always been the things you set for December or in early January, how many of them have you kept them? Before February, they must have broken all those things. Before even February, their plans, they want to do this, they want to do this, they cannot even remember again. So we thought it wise to come up with a personal development plan, which has been holding for the past 3 years, and it has really been achieving much and much. Now, this morning I'm going to be talking on, because this is how it's going to go. You need to understand. We are going to every session we are going to be arranged is for a particular reason. So try as much as possible to understand the reason for this particular session, so that, because if you don't understand the reason for a particular session that a tutor or an instructor is going to be teaching you, then you will not actually be able to flow with the other ones. Now we are going to be looking at showing you the different areas. This morning I'm going to be showing you the different areas where you can set your goals and how should your goals look like. So because if you don't identify the loopholes in your life, you can actually work towards making the need of that loophole in your life. So it's very, very important. It's just like you going somewhere to eat and you realize that you didn't have any money. You just turn behind and start going back home. But you forgot the fact that maybe yesterday you ate somewhere and one of your inner pocket is having 5,000 francs there. So you discover that since your ignorance of that reality, you're going to suffer like somebody that never had money. So you need to understand the different areas in your life that need amendment. You see, one of the stuff people think about, if you go to our churches, we go to our schools, we go to business area, you get to realize that many people every year they try, like they want to plan. Okay, what is going to be the plan for the church this year? What the church want to achieve, this want to do a new building for a school. A school will sit with the principal or with the vice chancellor and they get to plan. They plan things like budget and a whole lot of other things. They're going to be saying things like, what is going to be our financial budget for this year? What is going to be our achievement we want to attain academically, like excellence level. You see, businessman will be what want to be my profit and all the rest. But very little people spend time to plan individually. Now, I usually say that if an organization made up of different people with diverse minds plan to achieve success, and at the end of the day attain a certain degree of that success, now what will be for an individual with one attention, unique focus, if you plan for your life, it therefore means that you can't miss excellence for the things you have planned for, if you actually follow that plan. Somebody will still come and talk about how to set smart goals, not just setting goals, set smart goal and action plan and how to achieve them. We're going to be having that from another organization. So this morning, my focus in you is going to, my topic today is going to be based on living a balanced life or planning for a balanced life. 2023 should be that year where you plan to achieve a balanced life. Now, when a new year comes, excuse me for that. When a new year comes, I usually tell young people, don't allow the only thing that should change in your life in any new year should be your age. Because in reality, the only thing that change in most people's life for a new year is their age. Just an increase in a year. Because if you ask them, they will still be working in that same organization. They will still be earning that same amount of money. They will still be having the same thing they were having before. So you just discover that they are finding themselves in a loop without any progress. Let me tell you one thing. I want you to see the importance of you planning before we even engage into you doing the planning for yourself, for your own benefit. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you realize that all of us here are using a mobile phone, or some of you guys are using a computer? Now, do you realize that if you keep your phone for just 1 week time without going online, and one day you come and you said, okay, today I want to go online, so you just activate data, let me say data for something like 200 francs, let me say 200 megabytes. Now, you go online. Before you even want to go maybe to WhatsApp, to maybe text with people or do some stuff, do you realize that before maybe after 30 minutes, all that data must have gone? It's finished already. Why? Because the applications on your mobile phone, they realize that you haven't come online for about 2 weeks or 1 week. So they struggle to update themselves. They want to become the better version. The developer of that application has added new features, and your mobile phone don't want to remain in that level it was in 2 weeks behind. So it tries to update itself on its own. It doesn't even ask for your permission, because the developer for that Android phone or for that Apple phone or for that computer realizes that if you keep just one version of that, you'll be bored with it. Do you know that your life can be bored with you if you're not upgrading yourself? Do you know that no one in this world will value you until you add value to yourself? The way you add value to yourself is to develop a plan that you're going to work by. So this morning I want to talk about living a balanced life. You see, before I go to a balanced life, I want you to, you're planning for a balanced life, because you're going to be seeing the different loopholes you have so that you can actually now plan for them. Now, I want you to look at something. Do you know that, first of all, look at the importance of planning for a balanced life. There are 3 factors that control this world. There are just 3 factors. There are 3 things you need to plan for. There are 3 areas in your life you must plan for. When you're developing a personal development plan, there are 3 areas you must focus on. 3 broad areas you have to focus on. The first one has to be your financial life. No matter who you are in this world, no matter how educated you are, if you have no financial life, you are useless. Even the Bible says that the wisdom of a poor man is not being heard. So there are 3 factors that control this world. The first you have to plan is your financial life. What is going to be your financial achievement for the new year? There is nothing like I'm a student. You see, hunger does not recognize a personality. You see, the day you are hungry, your stomach does not realize that you are a student. All is that your stomach wants to eat. You see, the house you are living in doesn't recognize that you are a student. And most landlords doesn't even want to care whether you are a student or not. All is that they want their money. When you take a taxi along the roadside, the taxi driver does not want to know that you are a student. All is that when you reach Mile 17 or when you reach whatever destination you are going to, the taxi driver wants his fare. So the first thing there are broad spectrum of other things you need to So one of the major area we'll be looking at is going to be your financial life. Plan to achieve your financial life. Your financial life. All things like business, every other thing, and all the rest, who you want to be, your budget for 2023, how much you want to be in your bank account, all those things are found there. So your financial life. That's a first broad area. Now, I have seen a lot of, let me first of all elaborate on it a little bit. This session today, don't worry, it's just going to be a broad area which we're just going to open your mind so that you can see the reason why you need to attend the other session of this conference. Because we'll be going G2 in the days ahead. Now, I talk about your financial life. I have seen a lot of prayerfully Christians praying so well, speaking in tongues. Muslim, I've seen a lot of them. I've seen a lot of other religions. People that they are so spiritual. I've seen a lot of educated people, but they are very broke people. Very broke. There is nothing too useless than like a Christian being a broke person. You might not really like this, what I just said, but that's a reality. You see, I usually say that, which I heard some other wise people saying that some people think that when you're poor, it's very easy for you to make it to heaven. That's a lie from the kingdom of darkness. The Bible didn't say that money is the root of all evil. It said the love of money is the root of all evil. So you need to realize that your financial life is something that is very, very important. I usually tell people that poverty, being poor is vanity. Being rich is vanity. I have chosen my own vanity wisely. So choose yours. Because who you will become in the few years, the type of people that will be connected to you in the few days to come or the years ahead, depends on your financial capability. So that's one area. I'm talking today on planning for a balanced life in 2023 or rather. The next area I want you to pay attention to is the next broad area is your educational life. Your educational life. Educational life doesn't mean that those going to school. It doesn't mean that there is a difference between your educational life and your academic life. They are two different things. So, your educational life. Whether you're a businessman, you're a worker, you're not going to school, there must be some degree of increased knowledge taking place in your life. There must be a certain extent in which you're trying to increase your educational life. So the educational life is a broad spectrum, involving even those going to school. So no matter whatever person you are, no matter how spiritual you are, how good you are financially, if you are not some degree, if you don't have some degree of education in you, you can't go far. You can't go far. So for this year, you're going to be planning. For those of you in school, you're going to be planning. We're going to be talking about this area a little bit G2 on a moment ahead. So, but let me give you the three different areas. Your educational life. I said there are three factors that control this world. I spoke first of all, the first one is going to be your financial life. The second one is going to be your educational life. You see, I know many people, I've heard many people say in life that Dangote didn't go to school and complete it. Excuse me. And some will say that somebody like Bill Gates did not complete school. It's true. Paninoli, that is building a lot of buildings somewhere around Boya. He's a class 7 leader. It's true. Jeffobi didn't go to school to a certain extent. It's true. But let me let you understand. It doesn't mean that they are not educated. So, when we talk about education, their formal and informal education. So if you go and meet those people, they will always give you their strategy of succeeding. So we'll talk about that detail about it shortly. Now, so we spoke about your financial life. We spoke about your your educational life, and now the last aspect is your spiritual life. Your spiritual life. So your spiritual life is so essential for your development. You know, this is not something we need to overemphasize on. Life is spiritual. Life is spiritual. And you must have seen a lot of educated people, rich people that died because they understand very little about the person who created them. They don't know anything very little about God. They know very little about the spectacular and the miraculous. I'll give you an example and why you need to. No matter how intelligent you are, no matter the amount of money you have, if you don't have a personal relationship with God, I will advise you, you will have to plan for it and you have to work by it for 2023. Because if not that, you are building your future on sand. When a terrible wind come and pass, you blow away with that sand. I'll give you a couple of examples and why I'm actually bringing this. Do you know the person do you know most of us will love to use Apple device today? Excuse me. Do you know most of us will love to use Apple device today? Apple, if you're somebody, I used to hear someone say, Apple Pro Max, I have Apple Pro Max, Z11, 11 Pro, or whatever Pro. I don't even know them. When they are out today, you hear people are dying for it, they want to have it. Do you know the person who created that device, the person who have the idea, the brain box behind Apple devices? It's Steve Jobs. I'll tell you about a little bit about Steve Jobs' life. So, sorry for that short silence. I will tell you a little bit about Steve Jobs' life. Am I being heard, please? Can you just indicate if you can hear me? I know you're. Am I being heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
we're getting you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for that. Let me talk a little bit about the person Steve Jobs. For those of you like Apple machines, phone, and all the rest, iPod, you see. Now, understand the life history of this man. Steve Jobs was a very educated guy, went to one of the best schools in the world, and he had an idea. And the idea was to come up with these Apple devices you're seeing today. The guy started his company, employed some other people. He was not that rich like the way before he started the company, but he was at some level. Started his company. He made up his mind to create one of the best devices that will ever exist in this world, which is achievable, and he has achieved it. So, because Apple device is one of those that has the highest security and a whole lot of other things. So, he started his company, employed other people, was working towards that idea. The idea was just an iPod just to create something with music, but as he started going ahead, he started thinking about tablets, computers, and all the rest. Steve Jobs worked like that with other people until he reached the level which he wanted to start, and he was ending as much money as he had loved to earn. And when that money was coming, it was time for him to start enjoying that money, living for that money. Steve Jobs realizes one thing. He had all the money that he could ever dream of having. Just for him to go one day to the hospital and meet his medical doctor, he was diagnosed with cancer of the blood. Cancer of the blood was nothing to Steve Jobs at that time. It was nothing. Why was it nothing? Because Steve Jobs has believed in his money. He has believed in his intelligence. He said, well, doctor, cancer of the blood is not anything to me. And I can pay for anything in this whole wide world. And the doctor shook his head and said, oh, Steve Jobs, we are sorry, because now cancer of the blood has no cure. Honestly, this thing will have to take your life. And where is Steve Jobs today? He has died. Yes, he's not in this world. All the money he has actually accumulated, could not save him. His intelligence could not save him. You see, even the intelligence of the most educated medical doctor in this world, or medical practitioner or specialist, could not save him. He had the money, he could buy any medical facility. He could not save him. But little did he believe that there was somebody who created him, which was known as God, and at the end of the day, the person who created you has a spare part to your body. So if his belief was focused, for me, I'm a Christian, I said very simply, he never knew that there was something which is known as Jehovah the Doctor. So your spiritual life is so essential, like the direction you want to go to. It's so important. So this 2023, you have to plan to live and have a spiritual life that is what sustainable. So those are the three. Let me ask you this question. I said living a balanced life. These three areas, if you are financially, you don't have any problem. Educationally, you don't have any problem. Spiritually, you don't have any problem. Can anyone in this conference tell me the areas or anything that can overcome you in this world when you are balanced in these three areas? These three areas, once you are actually balancing all of them, full in all of them, then no one can talk you down. I tell Christians today, I said, how will you talk me down? If I have to give you my own story about this, then it will take us a whole lot of time, which I don't want to engage into. But you realize that you will not go somewhere maybe to talk to people and they start telling you, who are you? Who are you? Let me run this area with this short example. I came into the University of Buea. I was there in 2013. And one of my hobbies or my passion at that year, so if you guys have heard me say this in several meetings, one of my hobbies was to preach the gospel to people, because I realized the importance of it. One of the reasons, the major reason why I was being created by God. So I make up my mind that each day I go to class and the teacher is not there, I will use the opportunity to share the gospel to the Christians or to the people in the class, to let them know the importance. For that first year, who was I at that particular level? I was just a graduate having advanced level, and I was in the university middle with people who were professors, doctors, and so much. So I went to one class one morning and I called all my classmates, and they were in class. Teacher was not there. I sought out two of them. I put them at the door. Like they were standing like probably the ushers for that morning ministration. They were there. And I took close to about 15 minutes to preach the gospel, and they were really passionate. People were really eager to hear, and a whole lot of things, demonstration of things I was doing. But all of a sudden, the teacher came. The class was so quiet, focusing and looking on me and hearing the way I was talking. So the madam stood outside for about 5 minutes. She was confused, never knew what to do. And at the end of the day, she thought I was a teacher at some point, but I was very small, thought I was a student too.
At the end of the day, when I must have done, I went and met her and I like, Madam, we are done with the course that was going on. She entered now, she was expecting me probably for me to go out too. And she realized that I sat down. Then she came to me and said, so you were using my period the whole day why? He said that this is not a gospel class. It should never exist again. Never you preach that you have God in my class. Never. She threatened. What did I do at that particular scenario? I just sat down. Who was I? I was an advanced level leaver. That was a professor. But if that woman ought to have recognized that if she came and met another doctor too in class talking like the way I was talking, you see, she ought to have laid a lot of attention to it and maybe not talk to me the way about the God the way she did. But out of a sudden, I realized that I need to work and achieve much academically because I knew that the day is going to come which I want to talk to people like her, not just to students. So I took my first 3 year, finished everything in biochemistry, picked up masters in molecular biology, went to engineering. And one day, that woman, I realized that the lecturer was renting in the same place I was renting. And there was a conference I held in the University of Buea teaching all the professors, the dean, and you can name them, on how to use free conference call during the University of Buea online when they were taking online study during COVID-19 pandemic. She realized I was the only person that was doing the presentation there. At the end of the day, when she wake up in the morning now and she see me, she said, Pastor, not just because of the gospel I was preaching, but because certain degree academically I have attained and have been a level which I can talk in the same frequency like her. So you realize that living a balanced life will help you in a lot of ways. So another thing you will need to, in the course of living, this is an introductory session to this meeting because we are going against 2 minutes past 6 o'clock. We will not want to go too much above the limit of the time for the conference. We'll have to end. We'll have details about each part of this session of this living a balanced life, maybe in the evening or some area in the conference. But I want to use the next 3 minutes to talk about some other things you will need to. Now, the question is, there is no need planning if you don't know you. There is no need planning if you don't know yourself. Who are you? Now, you will need to know that in this life, you need to believe in yourself more than the way any other person believes in you. There are many people who want people to talk to them, to say nice things about them before they believe in themselves. So do you really believe in you? Do you really believe in yourself? Do you know you? The worst thing that can happen in you in this life is for you to meet people that have not met themselves. Have you met yourself? Have you sat down yourself and asked yourself, who am I? What do I really want? What do I really want to become? Why am I here? What's the reason why I'm in this plane? When I'm leaving this planet Earth, what are going to be my achievements? Have you asked yourself this question? What is success like to me? What are the things that seems like success to me? Because if you don't have definition for success in your life, you will be tempted to celebrate failures to look like success to you. Get to think about this. So most of us have gone to school and we understand this. I'll give this scenario. You understand it. You went to school and at the end of the day, they gave a test to you, or you had 14 on 20 for that test. Then before the semester started or before the school year started, you said your minimum marks is going to be, let me just say 25 on 30. But they came and gave you that paper, so that was success to you. That was your definition of success at the start of that. At the start of that school year, you said the minimum I'm going to be having for all my courses or for all my subjects should be 25 on 30. They gave you a test in a particular subject and you probably realized that you had 14. And in that class, you were angry because you didn't make it to your expectation, which was success to you and which was probably 25 on 30. So at the end of the day, you were angry. But you get to ask a couple of people who were your friends, how many do you had for that test? They said, I had 9. How many do you had for that test? I had 7. And somebody just ran and said, well, the highest person had 14, and it's you. You started happy. You were happy because you were the highest person. No, that's because you have not reflect on yourself. And maybe you did not define success. But if you recognize that you are not competing with anyone, you're competing with yourself, and you have set yourself to be 25 on 30, and you're competing with yourself, then you will not be celebrating. You work hard to achieve much. So the question is, what will success look like to you in 2023 in your spiritual life, in your financial life, and in your education life? What will it look like? What will it look like? Some basic things you will need to pay attention. The secret of growing financially, of having a financial life, is not having much money. That's not it. It's having a plan for money. I usually tell those I mentor that if you don't have a bank account, it's too late for you. Having a bank account does not mean you have money. I heard somebody say that, where do I get money that I should even have a bank account? I'm really looking for the one to eat. I don't even have. Then why should I be having a bank account? No. See, money follow an agenda. Money follow agenda. It therefore means that money follow planning. I started having I had a bank account. Maybe in the course of this training, I'm going to give you some of my life experience about this. So the first thing you should think about financially this year is to go to a bank, create a bank account. It will cost you nothing more than 10,000 to do that. You are bigger than 10,000. And when you are creating your plans for this year in all 3 areas, create plans that are big. You see, you have to think big. That's my target for the year. I'm just a student. I'm not probably doing anything, but at the end of the year, if I have 200,000 in my account, it'll be good. No. See, I said one time, if you think in a bottle, you end up in a beer cover. So think global. So it's better you think of, maybe I'm going to be having, my financial plan should be 5 million. Then I realize that at the end of the year, maybe I had just 2 million. Is better. It's better than thinking that I'll have 200,000. Mind you, at the end of the year, you might have just 10,000 in the account. There are no laws to restrict your thinking. There are no boundaries in your thinking. So you have to think global. You see, if you are a neighbor, the house where you are now, there are different neighbors there. If you are in your father's house, there are different neighbors. If your neighbor realizes that you have come and built something in his own land, you could go to court. There will be problem this morning. You know why? Because there are laws in the physical on where your own demarcation and your land title. In the realm of thinking, there are no laws. There are no boundaries to your thinking. The greatest investment in this world came as a result of the greatest thinking. Ask Bill Gates. He was richest because his lecturer had an idea, but they don't know how to think about it and bring it to existence. He did that. Ask Dangote. He will tell you his strategy of expanding. Ask Jeffobi. He will tell you. Ask every great person. He will tell you about his thinking life. So you have to work on your thinking life in 23 rather. Don't forget, financially, your financial life, your academic life, and your spiritual life. So thank you very much. I will end this session this morning. If there are any questions, please, So if you have any question, please, you can ask. If not that, this was just an introductory section. We're going to have another session at 9 p.m. today. Any questions so far, please? Joshua, do you have any question?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Please.
Okay, you can go ahead and ask.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask about the bank account. If you are going to explain to how to create a bank account or something like that, because I don't know if you can create a bank account without any money.
Okay, in that light, we actually partner with UBA Bank. UBA Bank, we partner with them, and the public create your account almost free. I think last year for the partnership we had an agent from Douala that came and created an account for free for everyone. So don't worry, we'll walk you through before the end of the conference. We'll walk you through creating the account and how you should go about it, so it should not be a problem. Okay, thank you guys so much. We'll end the session today. If you have any other question, please you can send it to the group. We'll attend to it in the evening. Thank you.